Og Kirsti.
Nå ser jeg en skjerm, så nå funker det bra.
Veldig bra. Da kjører vi på. Ola, velkommen. Takk skal du ha. Si takk for invitasjonen, og kjekt å bli invitert. Ta det på engelsk, så. In English, yes. My name is Ola Vestavik. I'm representing Reelwell in Stavanger. Can tell a little bit about my background. I'm a physicist.
Teknisk samarbeid. Og så har jo dere et pågående prosjekt der ute.
Var det et spørsmål?
Nei, han glemte å myte.
I started in the oil and gas business in the last century after my education. There were big demands for people in the oil industry. So I learned, became a sort of driller. Well, I've been in drilling and well technology since then. But drilling is not only boring, it's quite challenging. So I have been in that sort of place since then. The reason I'm here is that we have actually got 2 projects now. Reelwell has got 2 projects on geothermal energy and a horizontal closed loop solution that we have actually developed. So I'll tell you a little bit about. Maybe I can say some words about Reelwell. I used to work for, I started in Norse as well, at Ulrik in Stavanger, and but I worked for Equinor, Statoil at that time, so drilling and well. But I established Reelwell in 2004. So since there, I worked there. So the main office is in Stavanger, and we are focusing on new solutions for drilling and completion wells for petroleum and geothermal application. Geothermal is just recently. We have a facility with 15 engineers and workshops for testing and production of drilling and completion equipment. So the main customers are oil companies. We have in principle 2 products. One is called the dual link. That is a drill pipe with sort of electric communication and power. So it enables you to measure better. It enables you to do things that previously was impossible, and automate the rig and everything. So that is a very important product. But the product which we call the dual pipe, that's what we actually started with, and that is also a little bit my baby. It's a dual pipe. It's a dual channel pipe. It's a concentric pipe. And that can be used as both a drill string and a completion string. Yeah, I don't know whether this should be moved or, okay. So, Reelwell has developed the dual pipe technology and verified that for petroleum wells in Norway, in Canada, in Saudi, we have been, and we also have the IP on this solution. The special thing about the dual pipe drilling solution is that it enables you to take out the cuttings inside the drill pipe instead of outside. And that has special implications on the drilling process. One of them is the pressure in the well. That is, you can say that the pressure is managed constant at all times. So it's completely different from conventional drilling, where you have high pressure when the pumps is on and low pressure when the pumps are off. We can have same pressure at all times. The other thing is that you are actually cleaning the well from the bottom. So as soon as you are drilling the cuttings, they are coming into the drill pipe, and if the well is clean. So a lot of the problems associated with cuttings and whatever is actually solved. And the third thing is that you can actually use different types of drilling fluids in the well, that you can have buoyancy to the drill string, you can drill further, you can reduce the torque. So there are a lot of advantages, especially if you're drilling long horizontal wells, which has been developed since I started. Horizontal drilling, it's an evolution that has been the last 30 years. So it's the zero EPD, the cutting-free wellbore, and the increased reservoir access, which we are sort of focusing on for petroleum applications. But this can also be used for geothermal applications, and with advantage. Okay, this is an example because we are at North. Those of you who have been in Stavanger at North, this is the North facility here, and you have the rig is Ulrik, and there is a highway here coming close to that. They are building the big health hospital there now. But you see this red line, this well we drilled, and that is actually drilled like this. It's a horizontal well. Below the highway. But this was a special well that we drilled a few years ago for qualification of our technology at the Wisting field. So preparing for that. But it's it's actually a shallow well, but it's at the Wisting field there is a lot of challenges with the pressure control as mentioned. And the hole cleaning issues and a lot of these issues that we have proved the technology. And that was a qualification for OMV, actually, the Austrian company, and the license of this thing. I'll not go further into that, but we have geothermal projects. Actually, we have been applying for geothermal project for many years, together with IFE. We have tried to get some funding, but and last year suddenly we got 2 projects. That's a good sign. But one of them is called Hawk Loop, which is a short for a horizontal closed loop. This is funded by the EU Horizon Europe program, and the partners are IFE, North. And there are Vito in Belgium, IFPEN in France, and universities in Darmstadt, in Belgium, Italy, in Firenze and Bari, and in Vasa in Finland. So you need to have a consortium of several companies. But here we are actually doing sort of research activities as well on this technology. We also have another project that we actually started earlier last year. That is funded by Total Energies, OMV as well, and the Research Council of Norway, which is also present here today. Thank you. The partners are IFE as well, Halliburton, and SNSK is the Store Norske Spitsbergen Kull Company. It's a Svalbard energy company, coal company. They need new energy. I'll just explain a little bit about our technology and the comparison to the current existing technology. If you look at the figure on the left here, it's 2 wells into the ground. There is an aquifer, geothermal reservoir. You're drilling, in principle, at least 2 wells, one for injection of fluid and the second for the production. And you need to have a hot reservoir, permeable reservoir. If it's not enough permeable, you will try to frack it to have the sufficient permeability. If you do this, and this is the common way to do this all over the world, there is a lot of challenges because there is scaling. When you're circulating fluids, you have the scaling, so you need higher and higher pressure when you need to frack. You also have a lot of salty fluids here, so you have corrosion problems, and you will have you can have toxic problems. And one of the major problems, I didn't know that, but one of the major problems is earthquakes. Earthquakes, why? Well, they frack it, and then so if this pump stops, something happens in the earth, and there is movement here on the earth. And people are scared. Oh, they don't want this. That is one of the challenges as well. Okay, back to what our solution is actually not to drill 2 wells, but to drill 1, shown here. And to drill not just to the reservoir, we are drilling along horizontally the reservoir. And the completion is actually, we are putting in a dual completion, taking the flow back to the surface in the same well. So it's the insulated tubing. And this operates the same way. In principle, you can do the same. There is, of course, if you try to calculate, this is simple to calculate, but this can be very complex to calculate how do you get out of. But this is quite simple. It's not so simple because, but we have help from Eva. And I think we can verify it by hand if you're good to calculate. But this curve you see there, but you don't see it all, I think, because of this screen. I don't know if you can do something with it, but this is a calculation made by Eva. So it must be right. But it shows that power from the well as a function of years, time production. So here we just calculate to 40 years because that's sort of relevant. You see that as soon as we start the production, we'll have very high production, but that it drops very quickly. But it limits out at 5 megawatts or something like that. 5 megawatts is a lot of energy from a well. But the interesting thing is not only that it's 5 megawatts. The interesting thing is that it's infinite. So if you're calculating 100 years or 400 years or 4,000 years, actually it's more or less flat. And this is physics, or mathematics, whatever. How can it be like that?
How deep the well has been taken into consideration in this calculation, or
The well?
yeah, how deep?
The lifetime?
No, deep. The depth.
Oh yeah. This is just a example calculation of how you could get out of the well,
Okay.
because it's not depending on the depth actually. It's depending on the temperature, heat conductivity, and length of the well.
And that.
So, the temperature is dependent on the depth. So at Iceland, this can be very shallow. In Norway, it will be deep. Sorry, just to have a last slide, but now it's in the wrong place again.
Du trykker ikke om det fikse lille der oppe. Den? Nei, den, ja. Aha.
Yeah.
Men take it in the corner.
Reelwell closed loop solution for geothermal energy production improves the access of geothermal resources. That is maybe the most important point, because now you have geothermal facilities at Iceland and Italy and Turkey, but none in Norway. But here you could have, there is no need for hydrothermal reservoir or fracking. You can have access everywhere. geothermal leverage. But we also see that we can improve energy production and performance, improve the production by their increasing reach. We could also, since we are having a closed loop system, we could use other fluids than water for circulation. And we can see that you may probably increase the electricity percentage by that. So even if we have maybe 10%, you can maybe in the future, when you're developing this better, have much higher. Minimize heat loss and provide low temperature on the wellhead. It can be very important also, especially at Svalbard where you have permafrost situation. Improve social acceptance, avoid seismicity, toxic waste, and very small footprint. This is something you wouldn't see at the surface because everything is below. Reduce cost, avoid NPT risk and cost linked to the conventional geothermal systems. I think this solves a lot of the problems what the conventional system has. And also we can reduce rig size and operation costs for the well construction. Thank you for your attention.
Okay. Questions, comments? We have a few minutes, and then Volker, where are you? That, yeah, is up next.
Take it afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, just one question about what's the size of these drilling rods? You make like multiple sizes?
Conventional drilling sizes, but of course it depends on a few factors. But normally you would, in this horizontal, you say, I need an 8.5 inch because in oil business, we always count in inch. But 8.5 inch is 216 millimeters. So 21.6 centimeters. But you can have a larger hole as well. But that's around.
Yeah. So what flow would you have like a limit for, let's say, water flow?
Yeah. Actually, you see that the other way you can have much more flow. But if you calculate, if you say how much flow do I need to get 5 megawatt out of a well, then you calculate the use of water. That's 4 kilojoule per kilogram. And you have, let's say you have 50 degrees increase, then it's 4 by 5, so it's 200. So that in that case, you would probably need 20 liters per second. So 1,200 liters per minute. So it's not very big. Because of the high energy content, high thermal. Yeah.
I was just having a question. Maybe I misunderstood, but is your product a dual pipe, or do you have this kind of a concept as a service, the closed loop system?
You see, this haven't been done before.
No, so it's a concept.
So first you have to build the tools. You have to verify it,
so
and you have to
your
prove.
ambition with the dual pipe.
So it's good to have calculated in front so you expect, but this is something that we are developing. Yes.
I was not so happy with your wording of geothermal. Conventional geothermal is induced seismicity. Because this is something, especially, I'm working on a project like that, and it's especially what I want to advocate for. I don't want to deny it. We see it. We have seen it under certain geological conditions and operational parameters. But there are also the majority of the systems out there, mainly the low-hanging fruits systems established are running over the years, and no issues with seismicity.
Yeah. Sorry about I didn't want to offend you, but actually that was a surprise to me that it was a problem. But actually the Belgian project that they have, Vito has to have drilled several geothermal wells, and when their pump stops, they had a big earthquake, and they could say this is coming from this. And I have a atomic nuclear plant just above. So the people said, oh, we don't, there is not only there. I know that it is in Switzerland, there is in France. So there are other places, but it depends on how you are doing it, but not all the places. And Iceland, we talked about seismicity. What is the problem? They have it every day. So
There was a question over there, and then we need to stop, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
One question arises. How do you do this in hard rocks that we find mainly on the onshore in Norway and all and Sweden and Finland, where it's basement rocks mainly that is our targets?
yeah, of course, I think Norway is not the best place to start with this technology. The best place to start in Norway is probably at Svalbard. And we have cooperation there, and they have need for it, and that's I think that's would be the best place. We know that we have actually activities now into Denmark and so on, because Denmark, Austria, Germany, Finland, all the Europe have a lot of potential, better than Norway. But we have in Norway, we have 4 times the geothermal energy of Iceland, for example, but it's much more difficult to get. But it's not a problem of the hard rock if you can drill the hole. It's because you don't need to frack it. You don't. It's based on thermal conductivity, and then you say you need to find the best thermal layer for thermal conductivity with the highest temperature. So so in principle, this is if you can drill the hard rock efficiently, and you could probably do that with water, then you could or new fluids, pure fluids, then you could probably also do that in Norway. But it's harder in Norway than in Europe.
You say it's more like a question of cost instead of
It's a question of cost, yeah.
Time and cost.
Just have one quick one.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
The pipe was insulated.
Yes.
What kind of insulation do you use to pipe it?
It's a vacuum.
So, okay.
Perfect. Thank you.